Writing can be such a solitary business. It must have felt really good when you were walking the red carpet into the ITW Thriller Awards, where you won Best Paperback Original for The Cold Room. How do you advise that aspiring authors heading down that same path treat the experience the way you did when you had it happening?
The honor is in the nomination. I tell people that it is the God to honest truth. The honor is in the nomination. Getting nominated for an award, that's huge. Winning it is, surreal. That's just utterly surreal. But the nomination, that means you and four or five of your peers have written the best books of the year. Holy cow! That's what that means. You have been rewarded for taking a chance for, you know how actors always win an Oscar for the role that they just have embodied, right? They've gained 100 pounds, they've lost 100 pounds, they make themselves ugly. It's the ones that you just pour yourself into that are those are the ones that get the attention of awards committees. And that's, you can't write with, oh, I want to win an Edgar, oh, I want to win a Thriller. You can't write like that. That's it's something that you can't pay attention to. You have to, again, everything is in the service of the story, right? Cold Room, though, was a book that I took big chances on, and I stepped way out of my comfort zone and did something. I wanted to write a serial killer novel with no blood. So what do you do? How do you kill somebody with no blood? I'd already done a number of different things. So, you lock him in a glass coffin and starve him to death because, okay. That just in and of itself was a little bit creepy and a little bit different. And that's, again, when you take the big chances and you write the books that scare you, those are the ones that generally do well.
Great advice. The next big chance you took was with the Immortals, where you had Detective Jackson enter the investigative realm of mysticism and witchcraft. What was the real life research like in that particular book's case?
So that story actually starts in 14. I write all of my, though it's a series, it's a standalone, right? So anybody can pick it up at any point in the series and they're going to understand what's going on. They're going to know who the characters are. They're not going to be lost, right? That said, 14 plays into So Close to the Hand of Death with the Pretender. He is back in that book. And, again, you have to zig when the reader expects you to zag, right? You have to be thinking about ways to make a story fresh and new. How do you keep your series alive? How do you keep things exciting for the reader? How do you keep it exciting for you as an author? If you're going to write multiple books with the same character, things have to happen. There has to be an evolution and a growth cycle. And every book has a growth cycle, but over the series, that's really important. So everything that happens in 14 ties into So Close, and then So Close ties into Where All the Dead Lie. How many serial killers can Nashville have, right? It's just, it strains credulity for this to be happening over and over and over. So you got to do something different. I love to travel and I love Scotland, and I wanted to do something with Memphis Highsmith, who comes in the Cold Room. James Memphis Highsmith, he's the Viscount Dulcie, and he works with the New Scotland Yard, and he comes over in the Cold Room and works the case with Taylor and Baldwin. So he's in this book as well. It really is a culmination of several plot lines pulled together. And I had to take her to Scotland. She's suffered an amazing tragedy at the end of So Close to the Hand of Death. And she needs to heal. And of course, Memphis is quite interested in her, very intrigued by Taylor. And he has his own tragedies, and he wants her to come and heal at his Scottish castle, and she does, and against Baldwin's wishes. And it sets up a great conflict. Characters need conflict or else everything gets boring. So that was the ultimate conflict. Let's send her to Scotland and let her heal at Memphis's house.
It sounds like you agree with the classic writing rule that without conflict, there's really nowhere for the characters to go on the page.
Yeah, without conflict, you have no story. Characters need to be challenged. They need to have some kind of data, the day-to-day stuff is that's just boring, right? Nobody wants to hear or read a book about, oh, she got up, she drank her coffee, she, cleaned the house, she did the laundry. Nobody wants that. That's not exciting to read about. You need something that's a little larger than life. And that kind of conflict does it.
As we've discussed with so many of your peers on the show, aging a character in a series is such an art form. With Detective Jackson, as you moved on with books like So Close to Hand of Death and Where All the Dead Lie, what kind of choices did you make in that respect to her character arc?
I write very quickly, and the first several books came out to a year. So it was really important not to age her, to keep her, again, as the iconic hero. So the books take place seasonally. So for the first 8 books, it's only been a year and a half, and that's how I did it. That's how I did it. I just really, and I thought this out because I didn't want her aging. I didn't want her having I didn't want her moving up the ranks too fast, because if it's going to be 8 years, as good as she is at her job, she's going to get promoted, and that's that therein lies a huge problem, because when you're a cop and you're good at what you do and you get promoted, you end up being out of the field and you're doing paperwork instead of, being boots on the ground. And that's something that she can't have happen. She wants to stay as a cop. She wants to be on the beat.
What's technically the most recent book in the series, Field of Graves, takes fans in a different direction than expected. Please share with viewers what you had in mind with that 8th book.
So Field of Graves is actually the prequel to the series. So we get to go back in time to how she and Baldwin met. It's her origin story. It's their origin story. It's the entire series. This is where it came from. The whole world that I created came from that book. So that is actually number 0 of the 8 books. that's number 0.